Good afternoon and welcome to the 2024-2025 Annual Action Plan Survey Results Public Meeting. Spanish translation services are being offered today by Alex Molina. I will let Alex introduce himself and talk about how to access the Spanish translation services.
Buenas tardes y bienvenidos a la reunión pública de resultados de la encuesta del Plan de Acción Anual 2024. Los servicios de traducción al español están siendo ofrecidos hoy por un servidor, Alexander Molina. Me presento ante ustedes y le enseñaré cómo acceder a los servicios de traducción en español. Marque el número 602-534-1000. Luego marque el número de la reunión 634-93 y como código de acceso solamente tiene que presionar 000. Muchas gracias.
Welcome to the 2024-2025 Annual Action Plan Survey Results Public Meeting. My name is Alicia Springs, and I am a Grants Compliance Project Manager in the Neighborhood Services Department, and I will be your presenter today. Later in our meeting, we will have a call for public comment. For individuals that desire to speak, you can type your name in the chat now or throughout the meeting. We will call on each person individually and provide them 2 minutes for input and comment. For today's agenda, I will acknowledge staff, provide an overview of the consolidated plan and annual action plan, provide the 2024-2025 annual action plan survey results, go over the annual action plan timeline, make a call for public comment, and then adjourn the meeting. I would like to acknowledge the following City of Phoenix staff: Spencer Self, Director of Neighborhood Services; Jessica Gonzalez, Deputy Director, Neighborhood Services; Tennille Burton, Grants Compliance Supervisor, Neighborhood Services; Truly Seeloff, Housing Manager, Housing Department; Stanko Zovko, Housing Manager, Housing Department; Sandra Jones, Project Manager, Housing Department; Rachel Milne, Director, Office of Homeless Solutions; Annette Medina, Special Projects Administrator, Office of Homeless Solutions; Cynthia Salajar, Special Projects Administrator, Office of Homeless Solutions; and Berntari Crosby, Admin Assistant 2 for Office of Homeless Solutions. Displayed here are the 4 fund sources the city receives from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, also known as HUD, that are tied to the 5-year consolidated plan and each annual action plan. First, we have the Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG for short, which are funds used to provide communities with resources to address a wide range of housing and development needs with a specific focus on low and moderate income persons and communities. CDBG is managed and administered by the Neighborhood Services Department. Next, we have the Home Investment Partnership Grant, or HOME for short, which are funds that are designed exclusively to create affordable housing opportunities for low-income households. Next, we have the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS Grant, or HOPWA for short, which are funds that provide housing assistance and related supportive services to those living with AIDS. Home and HOPWA funds are managed and administered by the Housing Department. And finally, we have the Emergency Solutions Grant, or ESG for short, which are funds utilized to assist individuals and families quickly to regain stability in permanent housing after experiencing a housing crisis or homelessness. ESG funds are managed and administered by the Human Services Department. Because of the large population size of Phoenix, the city is considered an entitlement agency, which means the city receives funds directly from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. We receive millions of dollars from HUD every year, and with that funding, the city is responsible for ensuring that the dollars are being programmed and invested in areas and services that are strategic and aligned with our community's needs. One very important requirement tied to the administration of these funds is the completion of a 5-year strategic plan known as the Consolidated Plan. The funding for all four fund sources over the Consolidated Plan's 5-year period is an estimated $135 million in HUD grants. Through this strategic planning process, we are able to assess citywide needs, specifically the needs of low and moderate income households and neighborhoods, and develop priorities to address those needs through our various funding streams. One of the most important components of the consolidated plan is obtaining community input. Engaging with and encouraging participation from stakeholders and Phoenix residents ensures our priorities are in fact aligned with the needs of the community we serve. The consolidated plan serves three basic functions. First, it is a planning document developed with input from residents. Second, it defines local priorities relative to housing and homelessness, community and economic development, infrastructure and enhancement, and public services and facilities. And third, it serves as the official application to HUD for these federal funds. During the 2020 through 2024 consolidated plan process, the following 6 goals were identified. Goal number 1, increase and preserve affordable rental and homeowner housing for low and moderate income residents and households based on community needs. Goal number 2, assist individuals and families to gain stable housing after experiencing homelessness or a housing crisis by providing appropriate housing and supportive services. Goal number 3, foster the development of vibrant and thriving neighborhoods by investing in facilities, infrastructure, and addressing blight. Goal number 4, public and community services that promote equity and serves vulnerable populations, including residents with special needs. Goal number 5, enhance the city's economic stability by investing in opportunities to develop and strengthen small businesses, as well as provide access to workforce development and job opportunities. And goal number 6, meet the needs of persons with HIV/AIDS and their families through housing and supportive services. Our 5-year strategic plan or consolidated plan is carried out through annual action plans. So essentially, the consolidated plan outlines the goals for the next 5 years, and the annual action plan breaks those goals and priorities down into 1-year implementation plans. The 2024-2025 annual action plan will be the 5th year of the 5-year 2020 through 2024 consolidated plan. Each year, the city goes through an annual action plan planning process that includes public participation to identify which of the priorities included in the consolidated plan will be an area of focus for the next program year. Through this process, the annual action plan then outlines the strategies and approximate funding amounts tied to specific activities that support the overall priorities identified in the consolidated plan. Earlier, you heard me say that citizen participation is critical and important. Citizen participation in the development of the consolidated plan and each annual action plan is a priority. The department conducted extensive outreach to ensure Phoenix residents and stakeholders could easily provide input in the planning process. Citizen participation is such a priority that we created a motto to help engage residents. And that motto is Your City, Your Voice. Staff work closely with the city's public information office to develop the Your City, Your Voice webpage that posts information on what the annual action plan is and its impact, where funds come from, to include providing a link to the 2024-2025 annual action plan survey. Outreach for this year's annual action plan was conducted by way of social media, the Your City, Your Voice webpage, the Head Start and Early Head Start program, local school districts through various City of Phoenix departments, home meal deliveries, senior centers, community events, the Mexican Consulate's office, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and advertisements in various publications in both English and Spanish. Uh, Now, let's talk results. Because of the great work done to engage the public, a total of 858 individuals completed the survey. We received 771 English responses and 87 Spanish responses. The number of respondents received this year was a 59% increase in the number of responses received for the 2023-2024 annual action plan process. 55% or 433 respondents identified as low, moderate income families or individuals. 19% or 150 respondents identified as community service providers or nonprofit leaders. And 18% or 143 respondents identified as stakeholders. Here, you will see a comparison of the 3 years, the previous 3 years, and the 2024-2025 annual action plan survey rankings for the 6 identified 2020 through 2024 consolidated plan goals. For the 2024 through 2025 survey, displayed in the green shade, 33% of the respondents identified affordable rental and homeowner housing opportunities for low and moderate income households as the top priority for the 5th year in a row, with 21% of the respondents identifying homelessness as the second priority, and also 21% of the respondents identifying public facilities as the third priority. Additionally, ways in which we see how these ranked priorities align with more recent City Council direction include the following. The implementation of the Housing Phoenix Plan, which focuses on increasing and preserving affordable rental and homeowner housing for low and moderate income residents to address the city's affordable housing crisis. And through the city's strategies to address homelessness plan, the city continues to assist individuals and families in gaining stable housing after experiencing homelessness or a housing crisis. This year's top 3 priorities continue to align with priorities identified in the 5-year consolidated plan process. The next 3 slides will provide a view into the top 3 2024-2025 priorities. The first priority identified is affordable rental housing, which is defined as increasing and preserving affordable rental and homeowner housing opportunities for low and moderate income households. For this priority, 645 respondents identified the following top 3 critical needs. 405 or 62% of the respondents identified the creation of affordable rental housing as the highest ranking need. Next, 369 or 57% of the respondents identified the creation of affordable housing for homebuyers as the second highest ranking need. And finally, 286 or 400 or 44% of the respondents identified home improvement programs for low-income homeowners and/or low-income seniors as the third highest ranking need. This kept the exact same position as last year. The second priority identified is homelessness, which is defined as assisting individuals and families to gain stable housing after experiencing homelessness or a housing crisis by providing appropriate housing and supportive services. While these are both under the homelessness umbrella, please keep in mind that homelessness prevention is a category that can be funded specifically with emergency shelter grant funds. The data shows for this priority, 643 respondents identified the top three critical needs. 385, or 60% of the respondents, said the top need was permanent supportive housing. For example, housing combined with wraparound mental health services and social services. 377, or 59%, said mental and behavioral health services to address homelessness was the second need. And finally, 208, or 32% of the respondents, identified substance abuse programs as the third highest ranking need. In the second graph, which provides strategies to prevent homelessness, there were 645 responses. 356, or 55% of the respondents, identified mental and behavioral health services as the top ranked homelessness prevention need. Next, 54%, or 348 of the respondents, identified affordable housing options as the second highest ranked need. And lastly, 252, or 39% of the respondents, agreed rental assistance was also critical to homelessness prevention. The third priority identified is public facilities, which is defined as fostering the development of vibrant and thriving neighborhoods by investing in facilities, infrastructure, and addressing blight. For this priority, 644 respondents identified the following top three critical public facility needs. 445, or 69% of the respondents, identified recreation and community centers as the highest ranking need. Next, 364, or 56% of the respondents, identified public parks as the second highest ranking need. And finally, 345, or 53% of the respondents, identified the need for healthcare and medical clinic facilities as the third highest ranking need. Relative to critical infrastructure need, 643 respondents identified the following top three critical needs. 310, or 48% of the respondents, identified street improvements as the highest ranking need. Next, 299, or 46.5% of the respondents, identified tree planting and landscaping as the second highest ranking need. And finally, 192, or 29.8% of the respondents, identified street lighting as the third highest ranking need. Though the top three priorities for the 2024-2025 survey are affordable housing for home renters and buyers, homelessness and homelessness prevention, and public facilities and infrastructure, public services, to include mental health and substance abuse services, were heavily mentioned, as well as services for youth and persons with disabilities. We are currently awaiting HUD's release of the 2024-2025 allocations for CDBG, Home, HOPWA, and ESG. The tentative timeline that you see on this slide is pending any additional guidance from HUD and the City of Phoenix. Tentative dates include the draft annual action plan posted on March 18th, 2024 to initiate the 30-day comment period. Second virtual public hearing on March 26th to review the draft annual action plan. The draft annual action plan 30-day comment period ends on April 16th, 2024. The draft annual action plan will be presented to City Council in April or May of 2024. And then the submission of the 2024-2025 annual action plan to HUD will occur in May 2024. The next item on our meeting agenda is a call for public comments. For individuals who have registered to speak, we will call on each person individually and provide them 2 minutes for input and comments. If you have not registered to speak and would like to provide input and comments, please enter your name in the chat box and we will call on you. Now for those on the phone, we will unmute the lines if you wish to jump in with your comments. Well, looks like there's not any comments. So again, we want to thank you all for attending and participating in today's public hearing. Have a wonderful afternoon.